Hello everybody, welcome to Little Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video. Trying to hit 50k subscribers over here, so that subscription would be much appreciated. We are now 3 days away from the hater manifesto being dropped over on the deep dive with Rusty Bucket's channel. So if you're unaware of that channel somehow, which wouldn't surprise me because we haven't uploaded there in over 100 days, please be sure to go check that video out when it comes out, because it is frankly, the last one did bad and it's been a while since I've uploaded, so I am scared that it will not perform. So please go check that out when it comes out. But with that said, in today's video I wanted to go ahead and go over the moves of the offseason, and specifically what one ended up being the very best move. A move means a trade or free agency. It does not necessarily have to be one or the other. I'm also quite confident that I'm going to miss a few options here. A couple of guys who, there's just a lot of moves, so I'll probably miss a move. Forgive me if that does end up happening. But I'm going to go through basically every team just to touch on a few ones. Lonzo Ball to the Cavaliers, I actually got some pushback from Cavs fans about the idea that the Cavs did not end up getting better. I do agree that Lonzo could theoretically end up being a lot better than Isaac Okoro for them, getting more of a defensive guard, which they've definitely needed a perimeter defensive presence. So there is an upside swing there that I think was worth doing. So I do like that move. That could end up being one of the better ones. Jay Huff with the Indiana Pacers, that deal I thought was great. Not that I think Jay Huff is like a special player by any means, but he's a decent rim protector. In fact, he averaged a block per game in 12 minutes. He is a very good three-point shooter, 40%, hit 81 of his 200 on the season. And he also has that reverse dunk thing that he does a lot, which I appreciate. I don't think he should be a starting center, but I think for just simply filling the Miles Turner role of being that stretch big rim protector, he will fit in that category. I don't think that makes him a great center, like I said, but I think relative to what they needed for how little they ended up giving up to get him, that's quite the pickup by them. I think it was literally like a second round pick, if I'm not mistaken. I also like Jake LaRavia to the Lakers. That one has gone under the radar quite a bit. Nickeil Alexander-Walker by the Hawks was a cool addition. Charlotte trading for Colin Sexton for virtually nothing. I don't love how he will fit next to Trey Mann. I'm really curious to see how that will work out. But they gave up next to nothing for a 20-point per game score, so you got to give him credit there. Norman Powell is going to be in the thumbnail because I do think the Miami Heat did a great job of getting a good player back for practically nothing. They gave up slow-mo and like something else. I can't even remember. I'm going to look up the details of this real quick. Yeah, Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a second-round pick, and the Heat didn't even include or trade the second round pick. So they literally got rid of Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson. Kevin was not a rotation player anymore. Kyle Anderson, I don't think is good at all, but technically was in the rotation. And you gave those guys up and you got back Norman Powell, who averaged 24 points per game before getting injured. So yeah, I would say that is a home run of a move. I think that is among some of the best. Now, the Miami Heat, I don't know what their long-term direction is going to look like, but in terms of this next year, I do think you got to give them quite a bit of credit for getting a really, really good player for next to nothing if they're trying to be competitive in the Eastern Conference. I think he should make life easier for Tyler Hero on the perimeter. Another Florida team, the Orlando Magic. I think the Desmond Bane trade probably stands alone as the one that will be the most significant in terms of where the team exists in the hierarchy of the NBA. The Kevin Durant trade, which is on this list, as you can tell by the thumbnail, that one, yes, he made the Rockets significantly better, but the Rockets were a much better team, where the Magic were a mid team. I think Desmond Bane, plus some internal improvement as well, plus health allowing it, will move the Magic from a mid team to a great one, especially in that Eastern Conference. And for the Rockets, it'll move a good team to a great one. And a good team to a great one is not quite as good as a mid team to a great one. But the Magic also gave up significantly more in terms of draft capital to actually make that trade work. So I do think I probably still lean towards the Kevin Durant trade being the better one. But I hope you guys understand what I'm saying there, where like Desmond Bane is worse than Kevin Durant and the Magic traded more for him. But because of the position the Magic were in, I think it could be argued it's That's the more landscape shifting trade, if that makes sense. The Houston Rockets, though, the Kevin Durant trade, number 10 pick. I actually really like the guy who Phoenix took with him. I've seen a few of his highlights, but I've seen so many clips of him, and he's so funny and endearing. That guy's dope. I'm going to be watching him for a while. Easily my favorite Phoenix Sun. But the Kevin Durant trade was a home run for Houston. I was anti-Kevin Durant trade. However, upon hearing that it happened for next to nothing, I instantly became very pro-Kevin Durant trade because I didn't think they were going to do it for, again, next to nothing, but they did exactly that. And actually, to stick with the Norman Powell trade, while I do think that Norman Powell was probably a little bit better than Bradley Beal, I think Bradley Beal ends up making for a sufficient replacement. So trading Norman Powell to get John Collins, so now it's like you're getting two 18 to 19 to 20 point per game guys for the price of one. I actually think that's a pretty brilliant exchange. I don't want to go too in depth on it because I will be doing a Clippers video that will be out by the time this one has been released, so you've already fucking watched it. But yeah, that move was cool. I liked the Sixers drafting VJ Edgecombe. I know that's a draft pick one, and I didn't technically add that to my list, but that one's cool. The Cam Johnson trade for the Denver Nuggets, that's one where like it goes beyond the deal itself. You know, Michael Porter Jr. and a 2032 first round pick. If you want to argue that that is more than you should give up for Cam Johnson alone, I'm kind of with you on that. However, the added cap space and roster flexibility that it gained them by clearing $18 million off of the books that subsequently led to them signing Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. and being able to trade for Jonas Valanciunas. In congruency with that, it ends up being one of the better moves. Yabusele signing with the New York Knicks. I liked that one quite a bit. For the Boston Celtics, getting back Anthony Simons out of Drew Holiday was quite the home run as well. I was shocked they were able to get such a good NBA player back in that deal, which is a testament to Brad Stevens' ability as a GM. For the Brooklyn Nets, I don't think getting Michael Porter Jr. was that great, but getting that draft pick back was. So I think in terms of like maximizing the value of Cam Johnson, a 2032 Nuggets pick could end up being fucking awesome. It is, of course, frustrating that you have to wait so long to actually see that to its fruition, but overall, great move right there. I think that leaves it, though. I don't think there's a lot of other things. I do think Minnesota drafting, his name's escaping me right now, but the center that they just took, if he's legit, it makes moving Rudy Gobert a lot easier. So that draft pick ends up mattering quite a bit. The Portland Trailblazers, I liked that they brought in Damian Lillard. That was actually, I saw a couple people getting mad about that. The fact that they were going to pay him $13 million just to not play. But like, if he comes back the next 2 years and he's anywhere near an all-star, you're going to be getting him for a fucking bargain of a deal. I also think that Damian Lillard has done enough for Portland as a franchise that it's fair to say that he is deserving of that payday anyways. Not that he was underpaid for being in Portland by any means. But I think that was cool because I think Chauncey Billups referred to him as being like the highest paid highest paid assistant coach in the entire NBA. Definitely applicable. I think he'll be great in that role as just a great leader and guy just telling the younger guys what to do as the legend, the most legendary player from the franchise. Like, I think that is the move. I think that's cool. I don't know why that was controversial for some people, but yeah, I think that's it. If I had to give one more bit of credit, I guess I'd say it's a little late, but at least the Jazz finally got rid of some of the waste on their roster and John Collins and Colin Sexton. And by waste, I do not mean that they are bad players, but rather that they were wasting their time there and wasting the shots that could be going towards developing players who are longer term guys. So I like the Jazz doing that. Keontae George should get more opportunity. Isaiah Collier should get more opportunity, and Ace Bailey should get a lot of opportunity. And I'm actually really interested in Ace Bailey because when I watched his highlights in college, it was nothing but tough shot making. And then I watched him in the summer league and it was like mostly off ball movement and offensive rebound putback dunks. So That's something interesting. But yeah, if I had to pick, I'm going the Kevin Durant Rockets deal. I think the Desmond Bane Magic deal, the Denver Nuggets Cam Johnson deal, and the Miami Heat Norman Powell deal. Those are the 4 best moves of this entire offseason, at least as of now, without having seen what it will look like in the upcoming season. But to my estimate, I think Kevin Durant, getting that guy for matching contracts, like one good starter plus the number 10 pick, home run deal, especially in the context of the Rockets. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I'd probably give Desmond Bane the number 2 spot. And I don't know, interesting between Norman Powell and Cam Johnson, because the Cam Johnson trade, they didn't get as good of a deal back, but it's a more significant deal. The Norman Powell deal was a steal, but it doesn't really matter that much in the landscape of the league at large. So I think I'll still give the Cam Johnson trade the lead on there in that power ranking. But let me know what you think. And specifically, I want to hear whatever I didn't mention. Anything that you thought that I should have mentioned that I didn't, please leave that below, because I'm certain I missed something. I liked the Pistons replacing Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder with Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson. That was also cool. Apparently, they also have money to sign Cam Thomas potentially, so we shall see about that. But yeah, Kevin Durant trade to the Rockets, best trade of the move, or best trade of the move. That's right, baby. That's it. Thank you to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.